Hi and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and if you know, hi, I'm Kit. Today's video is going to be my book wish list. So the way this is going to work is I will say the book title, who it's by, and then I will tell you a brief bit about the book. I will also put the book cover here, so let's just do it because there's 33 books I've got to talk about. First book is The Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo. The Language of Thorns is a collection of fantasy-esque short stories that takes place in the Creatureverse. That is the universe of the Shadow and Bone trilogy, the Six of Crows duology, and I believe there's going to be a third book, and the King of Scars duology. Yeah. The next book I want is Ninth House, also by Leigh Bardugo. Galaxy Alex Stone is the most unlikely member of Yale's freshman class. Raised in the Los Angeles hinterlands by a hippie mum, Alex dropped out of school early on and into a world of shady drug dealer boyfriends, dead-end jobs, and much, much worse. By age 20, in fact, she is the sole survivor of a horrific, unsolved multiple homicide. Some might say she's thrown her life away, but at her hospital bed, Alex is offered a second chance to attend one of the world's most elite universities on a full ride. What's the catch, and why her? Still searching for answers to this herself, Alex arrives in New Haven, tasked by her mysterious benefactors with monitoring the activities of Yale's secret societies. These 8 windowless tombs are well known to be haunts of the future, rich and powerful, from high-ranking politicals to Wall Street and Hollywood's biggest players. But their occult activities are revealed to be more sinister and more extraordinary than any paranoid imagination might conceive. Far From You by Tess Sharp. 9 months, 2 weeks, 6 days. That's how long recovering addict Sophie's been drug-free. 4 months ago, her best friend Mina died in what everyone believes was a drug deal gone wrong. A deal they think Sophie set up. Only Sophie knows the truth. She and Mina shared a secret, but there was no drug deal. Mina was deliberately murdered, forced into rehab for an addiction she'd already beaten. Sophie's finally out and on the trail of a killer, but can she track them down before they come for her? Goddess of Filth by Fee Castro. 5 of us sat in a circle doing our best to emulate the girls in the craft, hoping to unleash some power to take us all away from our home to the place of our dreams. But we weren't witches. We were 5 Chicanas living in San Antonio, Texas, 1 year out of high school. One hot summer night, best friends Lourdes, Fernanda, Aina, Paula, and Pauline hold a seance. It's all fun and games at first, but their tipsy laughter turns to terror when the flames burn straight through their prayer candles, and Fernanda starts crawling towards her friends and chanting in Nahuatl, the language of their Aztec ancestors. Over the next few weeks, shy, modest Fernanda starts acting strangely, smearing herself in black makeup, shredding her hands on rose thorns, sucking sin out the mouths of the guilty. The local priest is convinced it's a demon, but Lord begins to suspect it's something else, something far more ancient and powerful. As Father Moreno's obsession with Fernanda grows, Lord enlists the help of a Bruja craft crew and a professor, Dr. Camacho, to understand what is happening to prevent in this unholy tale of possession gone right. I'm sorry for completely butchering pretty much every word in that paragraph. The First to Die at the End by Adam Sorrell. It's the night before Deathcast goes live, and there's one question on everyone's mind. Can Deathcast actually predict when someone will die, or is this just an elaborate hoax? Orion Pagan had waited years for someone to tell him that he's going to die. He has a serious heart condition, and he signed up for Deathcast so he could know what's coming. Valentino Price is restarting his life in New York. He has a long and promising future ahead, and he only registered for Deathcast after his twin sister nearly died in a car accident. Orion and Valentino cross paths in Times Square and immediately feel a deep connection. But when the first round of end-day calls go out, the lives are changed forever. One of them receives a call and the other doesn't. Though neither boy is certain how the day will end, they know they want to spend it together, even if it means their goodbye will be heartbreaking. I'm just going to apologise in advance for the next one. I'm going to butcher the name. A Show for Two by Tashi Buyan. Mina Raman has a plan for a future, finally win the Golden Ivy Student Film Competition, get into her dream school across the country, leave New York City behind once and for all. Mina's ticket to win the competition falls into her lap when an indie film star and known heartbreaker, Emmett Ramos, enrolls in her high school under a secret identity to research his next role. When Mina sets out to persuade Emmett to join her course, he offers her a deal instead. He'll be in her short film if she acts as a tour guide to help him with a photography contest. As Mina ventures across 5 boroughs with Emmett by her side, the city she grew up in starts to look different and more like home than it has ever before. With the competition deadline looming, Mina's dreams, which once seemed impenetrable, begin to crumble, and she's forced to ask herself, is winning worth losing everything? The Demon and the Wood by Lee Bardugo. Before he became the Darkling, he was just a lonely boy of extraordinary power. Get a look into the past that forged a brutal and brilliant leader. Green Rising by Lauren James. Gabrielle is a climate change activist who shoots to fame when she becomes the first teenager to display a supernatural ability to grow plants from her skin. Hester is the millionaire daughter of an oil tycoon and the face of a family business. Theo comes from a long line of fishermen, but his parents are struggling to make ends meet. On the face of it, the three have very little in common, yet when Hester and Theo join Gabrielle and legions of other teenagers around the world in developing the strange new green fingers power, it becomes clear that to use their ability for good, they need to learn to work together. But in a time of widespread corruption and greed, there are plenty of profit-hungry organisations who want to use the green fingers for their own ends. Or not everyone would like to see the Earth saved. As they navigate first love and family expectations, can 3 teenagers pull off the ultimate heist and bring about a green rising? Bridge to Terabithia by Catherine Patterson. Jess Aarons has been practicing all summer so he can be the fastest one in the 5th grade, and he almost is, until the new girl in school, Leslie Burke, outpaces him. The two become fast friends and spend most days in fields behind Leslie's house, where they invent an enchanted land called Terabithia. One morning, Leslie goes to Terabithia without Jess, and a tragedy occurs. It will take the love of his family and the strength that Leslie has given him for Jess to be able to deal with his grief. I've seen the film and I loved it. Right, number 10. The Red Palace by Jane Hur. Joseon, Korea, 1758. There are few options available to illegitimate daughters in the capital city, but through hard work and study, 18-year-old Hyeon has earned a position as the palace nurse. All she wants to do is keep her head down, do a good job, and perhaps finally win her estranged father's approval. But Hyeon is suddenly thrust into the dark and dangerous world of court politics. When someone murders 4 women in a single night, and the prime suspect is Hyeon's closest friend and mentor, determined to prove her beloved teacher's innocence, Hyeon launches her own secret investigation. In her hunt for truth, she encounters Yeon Jin, a young police inspector, also searching for the killer. When evidence begins to point to the Crown Prince himself as the murderer, Hyeon and Yeon Jin must work together to search the darkest corners of the palace to uncover the deadly secrets behind the bloodshed. Skin by Abeda Weiss. The last time Harbinger felt someone's touch was 7 years ago. Cursed with the ability to soak up information through her skin, she focuses on lining out her services and keeping the world at arm's length. Easier said than done when she's partnered with the gargoyle Jasper Flint, but when a routine mission turns him to an ambush, Flint shields her from a spray of bullets and brushes against her in the process. Now she can feel everything he does, including his growing attraction to her. Flint tries to keep things professional, but Harbin doesn't want to miss the chance to finally feel someone against her skin. And if Flint's the only one who can put his hands on her, he's going to make it worth her while. The next one, The Better Woman by Eden Appiah Kubi. In this delightfully modern spin on Pride and Prejudice, love is a goal, marriage is a distant option, and self-discovery is a pure thing. Welcome to Bennett House, the only all-women's dorm at prestigious Longbourn University, home to 3 close friends who are about to have an eventful year. EJ is an ambitious black engineering student. Her best friend Jamie is a newly out trans woman studying French and theatre. Tessa is a Filipino astronomy major with a guy trouble. For them, Bennett House is more than a residence. It's an oasis of feminism, femininity, and enlightenment. But as great as Longbourn is for academic, EJ knows it can be a wretched place to find love, yet the full season is young and brimming with surprising possibilities. Jamie's prospect is Lee Gregory, son of a Hollywood producer and a gentleman so charming he practically sparkles. That leaves EJ with Lee's arrogant best friend, Will. For Jamie's sake, EJ must put up with the disagreeable, distressingly handsome, not quite famous TV actor for as long as she can. What of it? EJ has her eyes on a bigger prize. Anyway, launching her spectacular engineering career in the real world she's been hearing so much about. But what happens when all their lives become intertwined in ways no one could have predicted, and EJ finds herself drawn to a man who's not exactly a perfect fit for the future she had planned. Next one is You've Reached Sam by Dustin Towle, because everyone wants to cry. 17-year-old Julie has her future all planned out. Move out of a small town with her boyfriend Sam, attend college in the city, spend a summer in Japan. But then Sam dies, and everything changes. Heartbroken, Julie skips his funeral, throws out his things, and tries everything to forget him, and the tragic way he died. But a message Sam left behind in her yearbook forces back memories. Desperate to hear his voice one more time, Julie calls Sam's cell phone just to listen to his voicemail, and Sam picks up the phone. In a miraculous turn of events, Julie's been given a second chance at goodbye. The connection is temporary, but hearing Sam's voice makes her fall for him all over again, and with each call it becomes harder to let him go. However, keeping that otherworldly calls with Sam a secret isn't easy, especially when Julie witnesses the suffering Sam's family is going through. Unable to stand by the sidelines and watch their shared loved ones in pain, Julie is torn between spilling the truth about her calls with Sam and risking their connection and losing him forever. The Keeper of the Night by Kylie Lee Baker. Half British Reaper, half Japanese Shinigami. Ren Scarsboy has been collecting souls in London streets for centuries, expected to obey the harsh hierarchy of the Reapers who despise her. Ren conceals her emotion and avoids her tormentors as best she can. When her failure to control her Shinigami abilities drives Ren out of London, she flees to Japan to seek the acceptance she's never gotten from her fellow Reapers. Accompanied by her younger brother, the only being on Earth to care for her, Ren enters the Japanese underworld to serve the goddess of death, only to learn that here, too, she must prove herself worthy. Determined to earn respect, Ren accepts an impossible task: find and eliminate 3 dangerous yokai demons, and learns how far she'll go to claim her place at death's side. The Collective by Alison Galen. Just how far will a grieving mother go to right a tragic wrong? Camille Gardner is a grieving and angry mother who, 5 years after her daughter's death, is still obsessed with the privileged young man she believes to be responsible. When her rash actions attract the attention of a secret group of women, the Collective, Camille is drawn into a dark web where these mothers share their wildly different stories of loss as well as desire for justice in a world where privilege denies accountability and perpetrators emerge unscathed. Fueled by mutual rage, these women orchestrate their own brand of justice through precise, anonymous, complexly plotted, and perfectly executed revenge killings, with individual members completing a specific and integral task in each plan. As Camille struggles to comprehend whether this is a role-playing exercise or terrifying reality, she must decide if these women are truly avenging angels or monsters. Becoming more deeply enmeshed in the group, Camille learns truths about the collective and about herself, and that she may not be able to survive. Meddling Kids by Edgar Quintero. 1990. The teen detectives, once known as Blyton Summer Detective Club of Blyton Hills, a small mining town in the Sonx River Valley in Oregon, are all grown up and haven't seen each other since their fateful final case in 1977. Andy, the tomboy, is 25 and on the run, wanted in at least 2 states. Kerry, one-time kid genius and budding biologist, is bartending in New York, working on a serious drinking problem. At least she's got him, an excitable Ryan Morana, descended from the original K9 member of the team. Nate, the horror nerd, has spent the last 13 years in and out of mental health institutions and currently resides in an asylum in Arkham, Massachusetts. The only friend he still sees is Peter, the handsome jock turned movie star. The problem is, Peter's been dead for years. The time has come to uncover the source of their nightmares and return to where it all began in 1977. This time, it better not be a man in the mask. The real monsters are waiting. Babel by Ara Kwan. Tradutoire. An act of translation is always an act of betrayal. 1828. Robin Thrift, orphaned by cholera in Canton, is brought to London by the mysterious Professor Lovell. There, he trains for years in Latin, ancient Greek and Chinese, all preparation for the day he will enroll in Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, also known as Babel. Babel is the world centre for translation and, more importantly, magic. Silverworking, the art of manifesting the meaning lost in translation using enchanted silver bars, has made the British unparalleled in power, as its knowledge shares the quest for colonisation. For Robin, Oxford is a utopia dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge, but knowledge obeys power, and as a Chinese boy raised in Britain, Robin realises serving Babel means betraying his motherland. As his studies progress, Robin finds himself caught between Babel and the shadowy Hermes Society, an organisation dedicated to stopping imperial expansion. But when Britain pursues an unjust war with China over silver and opium, Robin must decide. Can powerful institutions be charged from within, or does revolution always require violence? The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. A runaway queen, a reluctant prince, and a quest that may destroy them both. 8 years have passed since the Battle of the Serpent, but in the icy north, Lady Nor of the Court of Teeth has reclaimed the Ice Needle Citadel. There, she is using an ancient relic to create monsters of stick and snow who will do her bidding and accept her revenge. Soren, child queen of the Court of Teeth, and for one person with power over her mother, fled to the human world. There, she lives far on the woods. Lonely and still haunted by the merciless torments she endured in the Court of Teeth, she bides her time by releasing mortal from foolish bargains. She believes herself forgotten until the storm hag, Bogdana, chases her through the night streets. Soren is saved by none other than Prince Oak, heir to Elfheim, to whom she was once promised in marriage and who she has resented for years. Now 17, Oak is charming, beautiful, and manipulative. He's on a mission that will lead him to the north, and he wants Soren's help. But if she agrees, it will mean guarding her heart against the boy she once knew, and a prince she cannot trust, as well as confronting all the horrors she thought she left behind. Hellbent by Lee Bodiger. Find a gateway to the underworld. Steal a soul out of hell? A simple plan, except people who make this particular journey rarely come back. But Galaxy Alex Stern is determined to break Darlington out of purgatory, even if it costs her a future at Leaf and at Yale. Forbidden from attempting a rescue, Alex and Dawes can't call on the Ninth House for help, so they assemble a team of dubious allies to save the gentleman of Leaf. Together, they will have to navigate a maze of arcane texts and bizarre artifacts to uncover the Society's most closely guarded secrets and break every rule doing it. But when faculty members begin to die off, Alex knows These aren't just accidents. Something deadly is at work in New Haven, and she is going to survive. She'll have to reckon with the monsters of her past and the darkness built into the university's very walls. Life Survived by Holly Jackson. 8 hours, 6 friends, 1 sniper. 18-year-old Red and her friends are on a road trip in an RV, heading to the beach for spring break. It's a long drive, but spirits are high, until the RV breaks down in the middle of nowhere. There's no mobile phone reception and nobody around to help. And as the wheels are shot out one by one, the friends realise that this is no accident. There's a sniper out there in the dark, watching them, and he knows exactly who they are. One of the group has a secret that the sniper is willing to kill for. A game of cat and mouse plays out as the group desperately tries to get help and work out which member of the group is the target. Buried secrets are forced to light in the claustrophobic setting of the RV, and tensions within the group will reach deadly levels. Not everyone will survive the night. I'm so excited! Cersei by Madeline Miller. In the house of Helios, god of the sun and mightiest of the Titans, a daughter is born. But Cersei is a strange child, neither powerful like her father, nor viciously alluring like her mother. Turning to the world of mortals for companionship, she discovers that she does possess power, the power of witchcraft, which can transform rivals into monsters and menace the gods themselves. Threatened, Zeus banishes her to a deserted island, where she hones her occult craft, tames wild beasts, and crosses paths with many of the most famous figures in all of mythology, including the Minotaur, Daedalus and his doomed son Icarus, the murderous Medea, and of course, wily Odysseus. But there is danger too. The woman who stands alone, and Cersei unwittingly draws the wrath of both men and gods, ultimately finding herself pitted against one of the most terrifying and vengeful of Olympians. To protect what she loves most, Cersei must summon all of her strength and choose once and for all whether she belongs with the gods she is born from or with the mortals she has come to love. Girls Like Girls by Hayley Kiyoko. It's summertime and 17-year-old Coley has found herself alone. Again, forced to move to rural Oregon after just losing her mother, she is in no position to risk her already fragile heart. But when she meets Sonia, the attraction is immediate. Coley worries she isn't worthy of love. Up until now, everyone she's loved has left her, and Sonia's never been with a girl before. What if she's too afraid to show up for Coley, and what if by opening her heart, Coley's risking it all? They both realise that when things are pushed down and feelings are forced to shrivel away, Coley and Sonia will be the ones to shrink. It's not until they accept the love they fear and deserve most that suddenly the song makes sense. But Moves for Dead by T. Kingfisher. When Alex Easton, a retired soldier, receives word that their childhood friend Madeline Usher is dying, they race to the ancestral home of the Ushers in the remote countryside of Mauritania. What they find there is a nightmare of frugal growth and possessed wildlife surrounding a dark, pulsing lake. Madeline sleeps thoughts and speaks in strange voices at night, and her brother Roderick is consumed with a mysterious malady of the nerves. Aided by a redoubtable British mycologist and a baffled American doctor, Alex must unravel the secret of the house of Usher before it consumes them all. Heartstopper by Alice Oseman, specifically Volume 5. Heartstopper follows Nick and Charlie as they become friends, and then they fall in love and they date. Fell by David Clement Davis. In this dark thrilling tale, it is the wolf who saves the girl. Fell, the dark third twin brother of Larka, the heroine of The Sight, must face life without his sister or the rest of his loving pack. He's a lone wolf now, a Carl, an outcast from his kind who shares his sister's fatal gift for seeing the future and the thoughts of others. This gift leads him to befriend a young girl, also an outcast from her people. They have a shared destiny, to free the land from a tyrannical ruler who would enslave man and animal alike. When You Wish Upon a Star by Elizabeth Lim, so this is part of the Disney Twisted Tales. What if the Blue Fairy wasn't supposed to help Pinocchio? This New York Times best-selling series twists another Disney classic into a harrowing story in which the Blue Fairy defies fairy law, setting off a dynamic chain of events. Starlight, Starbright, the first star I see tonight. I said that weird. So begins a wish that changes everything. for Geppetto, for Blue Fairy, and for a little puppet named Pinocchio. For Blue Fairy is supposed to grant wishes in the small village of Hariva. But something about this one awakens some long-buried flicker within. Perhaps it's the hope she senses beneath the old man's loneliness, or maybe it's the fact that long ago, before she was for Blue Fairy, she was a young woman named Shira from this fairy village, one with a simple wish to help others find happiness. Her sister, Lara, always teased her for this, for she had big dreams to leave their sleepy village and become a world-renowned opera singer. Two were close, despite their differences. While Lara would give everything to have a fairy grant her wish, Shira didn't believe in the law for which their village was famous. 40 years later, Shira, now for Blue Fairy, defies the rules of magic to help an old friend. But she's discovered by the Scarlet Fairy, formerly Lara, who amid decades-long grudge holds for transgression against her sister. They decide to settle things with a good old-fashioned bet. With Pinocchio and Geppetto's fate hanging in the balance, will the sisters find a way back to one another, or in this, like many matters of art, a gamble that comes with strings? Unravel for Dust by Elizabeth Lim. Maya Taman's journey to sew the dresses of the sun, the moon and the stars had taken a grievous toll. She returns to her kingdom and on the brink of war. The boy she loves is gone, and she is forced to don the dress of the sun and assume the place of the emperor's bride-to-be to keep the peace. The full raging around Maya is nothing compared to the battle within. Ever since she was touched by the demon Bandor, she has been changing. Glancing in the mirror to see her own eyes glowing red, losing control of her magic, her body, her mind. It's only a matter of time before Maya loses herself completely, but she will stop at nothing to find Eden, protect her family and bring lasting peace to her country. The Dragon's Promise by Elizabeth Lim. A journey to the kingdom of dragons, a star-crossed love, and a cursed pearl with the power to mend the world or break it. Princess Shiori made a deathbed promise to return the dragon's pearl to its rightful owner. But keeping that promise is more dangerous than she ever imagined. She must journey to the kingdom of dragons, navigate political intrigue among humans and dragons alike, fend off thieves who convey the pearl from themselves and will go to any lengths to get it, all while cultivating the appearance of a perfect princess to dissuade those who would see her burn up stake for the magic that runs in her blood. The pearl itself is no ordinary cargo. It comes with a malevolent power. Jumping to Shiori's aid one minute and betraying her the next, threatening to shatter her family and sever the thread of fate that binds her to her true love, Tarkin. It will take every ounce of strength Shiori can muster to defend the life and the love she fought so hard to win. Her Radiant Curse by Elizabeth Lim. One sister must fall for the other to rise. Shani was not born a monster, but when her own father offered her in sacrifice to the tiger witch, she was forever changed. Cursed with a serpent's face, Shani is the exact opposite of her beautiful sister Fana. The only person in the village who looks at Shani and doesn't see the monster. The only person she trusts. Now 17, Fana is to be auctioned off in a vulgar betrothal contest that will enrich the coffers of the village leaders. Only Shani, who's had to rely on her strength and cunning all these years, can defend her sister against the cruelest of the suitors. But in doing so, she becomes the target of his wrath, launching a series of vicious gladiatorial fights, a quest over land and sea, romance between sworn enemies, and a chase that will strain Shani's heart to its breaking point. So, Death Note Black Edition, because I already have the Black Edition of, volume 1 to 2 and volume 3 to 4. So I need volume 3, which is 5 to 6, volume 4, 7 to 8, volume 5, 9 to 10, volume 6, 11 to 12. Light Yagami is an A student with great prospects, and is bored out of his mind, but all that changes when he finds the Death Note, a notebook dropped by a rogue Shinigami death god. Any human whose name is written in the notebook dies, and now that Light has vowed to use the power of the Death Note to rid the world of evil, will Light's noble goal succeed, or will the Death Note turn him into the very thing he fights against?